Hello everyone, this is Carmela of the Sonora Kitchen, and today I'm talking to you from St. George, Utah, so southern Utah, and we're actually at a friend's home. Her name is Barbara, and Barbara, we met her about 3 years ago back in British Columbia. She's a friend of the caretakers of the retreat center where we lived for many years. And Barbara, when we first met her, she was, I think, 4 months into changing her diet completely. She was going for a vegan, so just no animal products at all in her diet. And already she was experiencing amazing changes, having to toss her medicine and just feeling so much better. And now 3 years later, we're seeing her again, and it's just amazing. She's lost a lot of weight, and she looks wonderful. She looks so healthy. And yeah, so it's been really interesting to learn some of her tricks in the kitchen, because not only does she eat vegan, but she also eats oil-free, and that's something that I could see would be very, healthy and helpful in our healing. So she does use nuts and avocado, but no processed oils. So I've been learning how to make dressings and make different things. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Hopefully I will be including that in my recipe creation. So today, and I just wanted to mention also, Barbara is, since I saw her last, she's now the president of VSU, which is the Vegan Society of Utah, and she puts together all sorts of events, potlucks and classes and talks. And now she's working on a big project to have open a culinary institute where people will be able to come and learn about whole food, plant-based diet, and also the science behind it. So yeah, this is a cool and exciting time for Barbara and VSU right now. So, but today I'm not going to be the one preparing food. I'm going to just let the spotlight on Barbara. She's going to show us how to make a cheese, and it's a cheese that comes from this book, The Ultimate Uncheeze Cookbook. And while it does use some agar that is being cooked slow, on a heat, the rest, all the ingredients are raw. So I thought this, could be something that we could include in our diet. Or actually, it's, maybe it could be done raw with Irish moss, or maybe agar can be used raw. So I'm going to be playing around with that. But for today, we'll see how Barbara makes her famous horseradish, and I think it's a horseradish dill cheese. All right? So over to you, Barbara.
Hi. I'm going to do the Ultimate Uncheeze Cookbook recipe by Joe Stepaniak called the Horseradish, Onion, and Dill Uncheeze. And this is so great because it comes out, when it's finished, like a block of cheese. And within an hour or so, you can cut it and slice it like the cheese. So first I'm going to put in the cashews. I have half a cup of cashews, so I'm going to put them in the blender. And then the horseradish. That's dry horseradish. I like using that because I haven't found any pre-made horseradish that doesn't have dairy in it, or casein or whey, because I don't want any animal products. Now these are the spices, the garlic and the onion powder, and a little bit of salt. I have to salt because I don't use a lot of sodium in my recipes. And now let's do the nutritional yeast flakes and put those in. And all the dry ones are on the bottom. And actually, I'm going to just grind the dry ones a little bit first. And I'm just going to put them on low. Just to get those mixed up, because this is a process that you need to be kind of speedy with. Because once the agar has heated, then you'll want to work rather rapidly. So that was some mustard. Some Dijon mustard, and this is some tahini. And I love the tahini. It's very high in calcium and good for us. I don't like to waste any. And now we have some lemons, fresh lemon juice. And that is all for this segment. And I'm not even going to try to grind that up because it'll coagulate at the bottom of the blender. So we're going to wait now until we heat a cup and a half of water, And then we'll add the 1½ tablespoon of agar-agar powder and kind of keep it boiling for a couple minutes while it dissolves. So we'll go into that process. All right, now I've got the water boiling, and I'm going to take the 1½ tablespoon of agar-agar, and I have a whisk in my hand, one hand, and I'm going to just slowly keep the water moving as I pour in the agar-agar, because otherwise it has a tendency to poof up. And this is where you really have to be alert, pay attention, and you're going to stay here and kind of manually manage the heat level. I'm using gas, so it's a lot easier for me to sit here and move the controls. Now you see I keep whisking and see how it's bubbling nicely. You can also use flakes with agar-agar, but I find I like the powder the best. And it takes about 3 to 5 minutes to dissolve it in, so you keep it at a nice rolling boil. And controlling it so it doesn't go anywhere and doesn't stick on is by whisking it constantly. And you'll see by the color it starts to turn more clear, then it's dissolving better. Now the one thing I love about agar-agar is you have to be really fast, and once it has dissolved, then I will turn it off the heat, and I'm using a rather heavy pan. It's a cast iron enamel coated pan, and so it'll hold the heat because agar-agar starts to get solidified as soon as it gets cool. So then I'm going to run over to the Omni blender and pour a little bit in and start the blender, put the cover on and pour the rest in a little bit faster because it's hot. We don't want to hurt the blender, but yet we don't want it to start solidifying. It's looking pretty good. We'll give it another couple, about 30 seconds here. We want to make sure it's all dissolved, else it won't coagulate and you won't get the uncheese effect. Once you work with this, it becomes a lot of fun. And you don't have to be too concerned about it. And if it coagulates well, you just get it heated up and bring it back to a moving texture again. Because I think this is such an important recipe to use, because, you know, the reason a lot of people eat cheese is because it's so convenient to make a sandwich with, but it is very unhealthy for the body. So by having a substitute that is as delicious but much more nutritious, and this is where it becomes a real vital lesson to learn how to use it so you can make your own convenient uncheese. Okay, I think we're ready. So I'm going to turn the burner off, and I still continue to whisk it. Now I'm going to put a little bit in the blender to give it some moisture. And then put the cover on. Doing this with one hand. There we go, and I'm going to start it off slow. Now we've got it pretty well blended. I'm just going to scrape down the sides here to make sure we get all of the powdered ingredients worked in here. And you can see it's still hot, so it hasn't started to coagulate yet. So we have a little bit of working room. I'll put it back on slow. There we go. And now, because the powdered onions, or the dry dehydrated onions, go in, and they don't get ground in a lot, so they're basically going to just be stirred in. And now the dill, and I'll put that in, and I'm going to kind of stir it a little bit, and then holding the blender down, just do a pulse, stir them in a little bit, because we don't want these to be ground in, because we want to see that texture. When we cut the cheese, you're going to see the dill, and you're going to see the dried onions. Just sort of folding that in there. Oh, it's perfect. All right, now I have a little 2-cup dish here. It's plastic and it comes out on the sides, and that's a really important thing, so when you turn it over, it will come out. I use no oil on that, or no parchment paper, and then I'm just quickly getting it off the sides and pouring it in here from the blender. you can see it's starting to coagulate. It's getting quite thick already. And occasionally I have even taken and put them in like a heart shape or something for holidays. Now there it is. And within an hour, we'll be able to turn that upside down and slice it. It's just beautiful. Look at the dill showing through there. It's been in the refrigerator for about an hour now. And this is the horseradish, dill, onion, cheese, uncheese I should say. Now it's in this plastic container. No grease or oil. I'm going to hopefully not disturb these beautiful crackers Carmela has got set up here. And there it is, blocked up. Beautiful.
Wow.
Look at that. Isn't that nice? Now I want to just cut a slice off here to show you how easy it slices. And then you'll see the texture that's in here and that it will go. Look at that. See the dill on the texture and the onions there? And it's like cheese. And it'll go on one of those fresh, raw crackers that have been dehydrated. And you can see that it slips just like cheese. It's a beautiful, delicious product, and it's convenient food. It's healthy. It has no dairy in it or animal products, and it is good for you. It's a great snack for after school, for hors d'oeuvres, company, and for yourself anytime you'd like one. Thank you.